Now, Mark is the youngest of 7 children, and he is the young one. He's got a couple brothers that he's pretty close to, though, Sam and Jacob.
Okay.
And his text messages with Sam, something very disturbing very early comes out. January 12th. This is the Sunday before Sasha is abducted. So literally the weekend before. He's texting his brother and he says, even this morning's surveillance was boring. Just a bunch of old people without much to live for. Clearly not the people we grew up with. Sad to say, another disappointment. Well, I'm going to head back to the base. When we look at the phone records, he's sitting at a Mennonite church in Phoenix when he's sending this text message.
They're surveilling Mennonite churches?
Yes.
Does his brother do the same thing?
Here's what's disturbing. If I sent you that text message saying my morning surveillance, what would you say? What is a natural reaction?
Well, what are you talking about surveillance? Is this something you do often?
Right. The brother does not say that. In fact, the brother says, I really wish I was out there with you so you and I could go get into some shit.
What kind of shit are they getting into?
Who knows? The Mennonites don't report stuff to law enforcement.
You think that's why they're doing this, because they know they won't get caught? Or they know that no one will report it so that they could get caught?
Correct. I think they are specifically targeting the Mennonites because they know the Mennonites are very hesitant to involve law enforcement, period, no matter what happens. So it's interesting. This opens a door. What are we missing?
That is scary.
When they look at the phone records a little bit closer, the weekend before this, he's at another Mennonite church about an hour northwest of Phoenix. He is routinely conducting surveillance. So if we look at what happened in January, first weekend in January, he's sitting at a little Mennonite church just outside of Wickenburg, Arizona. The second one, he's sitting outside this church and he's documented talking about his brother, but just a bunch of old people with nothing much to live for. The third weekend, he's sitting outside of a Mennonite church in Farmington, New Mexico. But this time, he sees a young Sasha Krause come out of the church.
Who has something to live for.
Who has something to live for. You couldn't have said that any better. I've got some issues with Sam at this point. Like, what does Sam know? How involved is Sam in this? And remember, this is when he invoked. So this is where Sam replied back to him that same day. I wish I was with you. We'd find something to do, some shit to get into. To which Mark responds, exactly. But now it's sad doing anything by myself. And taking risks is back to zero. So he's admitting it's sad now because I'm having to do these type of things by myself.
Well, what's more sad is we don't know if there's other victims out there who just aren't willing to say anything, that somehow something happened to them that these two did.
I think at this point it's safe to say there are other victims. They're acknowledging that they're having to do stuff by themselves. They're not taking risks like they used to.
Whether they're a victim of death or some other horrible assault, we don't know.
Right. So my message, if this gets out, I'm sure a lot of the Mennonites will not be listening to our podcast, but if friends of friends listen, if there's missing Mennonites in the country, we might have an idea who's responsible. Like, reach out.
Or people that know a Mennonite who was assaulted or hurt in some way, then that's a big deal. But at the same time, maybe they don't consider it a big deal because...
Right. It's weird. Religion collision.